The real fight for justice is only just starting. You might think it's nearly finished, but believe me, it's only just beginning.
A 32-year investigation. In 1982, a tragic incident occurred in Australia where the parents were initially convicted for the death of their 2-month-old daughter. The mother was sentenced to life imprisonment, while the father received a year and a half of probation for complicity. However, after 3 years, new evidence emerged, resulting in the dismissal of all charges against the couple and the reopening of the case. Subsequently, 4 separate investigations were conducted, with the final one concluding in 2012. The conclusive findings of this investigation revealed that the child had indeed been taken by wild dingo dogs. August 17, 1980, Australia, Uluru Kata Thuta National Park. The Chamberlain family, comprising Lindy, Michael, and their 3 children, embarked on a camping trip near Uluru Rock, an iconic symbol of Australia. During an evening barbecue, while their 2 youngest children, 4-year-old Reagan and 2-month-old Azaria, peacefully slept in a nearby tent, their serene atmosphere was shattered by the sound of a baby crying. Alarmed, Lindy hurried into the tent, only to witness a dingo dog running away into the darkness. Her heart sank as she realized that her baby, Azaria, was missing. The camp swiftly mobilized, with everyone joining the search for the little one, including rangers and police officers. Despite their concerted efforts, their search proved fruitless, and Azaria remained unaccounted for. A week later, a hiker made a startling discovery in the desert: an abandoned children's jumpsuit stained with blood, along with other belongings belonging to Azaria. This finding sparked suspicion, casting doubt on the parents themselves. Witnesses further fueled the growing speculation, recounting the parents' behavior as passive and lacking visible grief. Allegedly, on the day of the incident, they had uttered phrases such as "God's will be done," and expressed the belief that their daughter was likely already deceased. News of these accounts spread rapidly through media outlets. The story took a darker turn when rumors began circulating, linking the name Azariah to the meaning of sacrificed in the wild. Adding to the intrigue was the fact that Michael, the father, was a minister within the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Although this religious denomination held no particular notoriety, the public's imagination began to run wild, weaving webs of speculation around the family's faith and its potential implications. The initial investigation into the case began in the winter of 1980. The police faced a formidable challenge as the evidence was scarce and compromised. Much of it had been inadvertently destroyed during the frantic early hours of the search for Azaria, leaving little room for definitive conclusions. Among the available clues, an expert opinion emerged, suggesting that the injuries on the children's clothes did not resemble bite marks, but rather appeared to be inflicted by a sharper object, such as a knife or scissors. On the other hand, zoologists provided their perspective, asserting that a dingo was fully capable of carrying prey weighing up to 10 kilograms, consuming it entirely, and leaving no trace of bones, hair, or any other identifiable evidence behind. The nation remained captivated by the ongoing investigation into Azaria's disappearance. On February 20, 1981, Australia witnessed its first ever live courtroom broadcast as Judge Dennis Barrett delivered a ruling, declaring that the most likely cause of the child's death was indeed a dingo attack. However, this decision did not sit well with the prosecutor's office, leading to an appeal to the Supreme Court. In November 1981, a second investigation commenced, delving deeper into the case. The Chamberlain family's residence became a focal point of scrutiny, with extensive searches conducted and numerous items seized. The family car, in particular, received special attention, undergoing meticulous forensic examination. As the investigation progressed, sensational discoveries came to light. Traces of blood, consistent with that of a baby under 6 months old, were found throughout the vehicle. Lindy's manicure scissors also exhibited evidence of blood, The prosecution argued that the mother had allegedly killed the infant in the car, concealed the body, and subsequently disposed of it during the frantic search efforts. However, amidst these mounting accusations, a significant portion of the public continued to stand by the Chamberlain family. Eyewitnesses provided accounts of dingoes in the vicinity, corroborating Lindy's claims, and some even attested to hearing the cries of a baby on that fateful evening. On October 29, 1982, Lindy Chamberlain faced a jury that delivered a verdict of guilty for the murder of a child. The weight of this conviction led to a life imprisonment sentence for Lindy, while Michael was handed a year and a half of probation for complicity in the alleged crime. Adding further complexity to the situation, Lindy found herself in the final stages of pregnancy during her sentencing. Despite her imminent motherhood, she was briefly released on bail following the birth of her child. However, her freedom was short-lived, as a few months later, she was once again taken into custody. In May 1984, the local community rallied behind Lindy Chamberlain, amassing over 130,000 signatures in a petition advocating for her release. They formed a support group and enlisted the assistance of independent experts to uncover new evidence. This collaborative effort led to significant breakthroughs in the case. It was revealed that several hairs discovered on Azaria's clothing did not originate from human sources, but were instead attributed to animals. However, the most crucial revelation emerged regarding the so-called bloody stains found throughout the Chamberlain's car. Through a comprehensive chemical analysis, it was determined that these stains were, in fact, residues of noise insulation material. The previous analysis, conducted using a specific reagent, was found to be highly unreliable, yielding inaccurate and false positive results. The findings of the unofficial experts, while not directly impacting the case, highlighted significant inconsistencies within it. However, throughout 1985, the court dismissed multiple defense motions and upheld Lindy Chamberlain's conviction. It wasn't until early 1986 that Lindy's release from prison occurred, and this was purely a matter of chance. In January 1986, a tragic incident unfolded when English tourist David Brett lost his life while climbing Uluru, having fallen from a cliff. During the subsequent 8-day search for his body, the search party meticulously combed the area, ultimately discovering the remains in an area heavily populated with dingo lairs. Adjacent to one of these lairs, a blood-stained baby sweatshirt belonging to Azaria was found. The defense team highlighted the significance of this discovery, particularly when explaining the absence of dingo saliva on the baby onesies that were retrieved from the campsite. On February 7, 1986, Lindy Chamberlain was finally released from custody, marking the beginning of a renewed investigation. During this period, the prosecution, their technological advancements, and investigation methods faced significant criticism. The Chamberlain family's story had transcended national boundaries, capturing international attention. In 1985, a book detailing the case was published, and in 1988, a film titled Screaming in the Dark, starring Meryl Streep and Sam Neill, further brought their ordeal to the public eye. It was not until September 1988 that Lindy and Michael Chamberlain were ultimately acquitted of all charges and found not guilty. In 1992, the government provided them with $1.3 million in compensation for their wrongful imprisonment and court costs. The preceding year, Lindy and Michael had undergone a divorce, marking another chapter in their turbulent journey. Meanwhile, the investigation into Azaria Chamberlain's disappearance continued, but it wasn't until the end of 1995 that the results were made available. However, these findings did little to provide definitive clarity. While the investigators concluded that the parents were not involved in the case, they were unable to determine the exact cause of Azaria's death. Curiosity and fascination with this case persist among many individuals. The mysterious nature of Azaria Chamberlain's disappearance has given rise to numerous semi-mystical theories that continue to captivate public interest. In 2004, a man named Frank Cole emerged, sharing a startling account with reporters. According to Cole, in August 1980, during a visit to Uluru with friends, he allegedly witnessed a dingo carrying a baby in its mouth. In a state of panic, Cole and his friends, having already violated several laws by carrying a gun into the national park and shooting a wild animal, devised a plan. 2 individuals would take the gun and return to Melbourne, while the other 2 would approach the police, claiming to have found a dead dingo and a baby animal nearby. However, something went awry. Cole believed that one of his friends never approached the police, but instead buried the baby's body in their Melbourne backyard. Years later, the man who had been involved in the incident at Uluru decided to disclose the story, as his friends involved had already passed away, and he wished not to carry the secret to his grave. Despite his willingness to share his account and even undergo a polygraph test, neither the police nor Lindy Chamberlain were convinced by his words. The case remained closed without any official reopening. In August 2005, a woman named Erin Horsburgh claimed to be Azaria Chamberlain in an interview with a newspaper. She asserted that as a child, she had been discovered by Aboriginal people and subsequently raised by a white family. Erin expressed her willingness to undergo a DNA test to verify her claims. However, the story ultimately failed to progress any further, and the truth of her identity remained unresolved. In 2010, the police received an anonymous letter from 2 individuals residing in Western Australia. According to their account, in August 1980, they had encountered a dingo that appeared disturbed and was carrying a package in its teeth. Startled, the dingo dropped the object, which was discovered to be the lifeless body of an infant. The men, motivated by a desire to prevent acts of retaliatory violence against dingoes, chose to bury the infant rather than expose the animal to harm. Despite efforts by the police to locate the anonymous senders, their identity remained elusive, and the case encountered another enigmatic twist. Following a string of dingo attacks on humans in 2012, a fresh investigation was initiated into the case of Azaria Chamberlain. 3 decades after her disappearance, investigators reached a definitive conclusion. The child had been taken and fatally attacked by wild dogs. In June 2012, Lindy Chamberlain was issued a new death certificate for Azaria, officially acknowledging the cause of her daughter's demise as a result of a dingo attack. This update in the documentation finally provided closure to the long-standing mystery surrounding Azaria's fate.